Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of Sovereign AF Podcast. My name is Regina Cornelio. I'm your host. I'm here with my
Hey.
beautiful co-host Cynthia Clark, and we have a special pop-up episode today. We have a very special guest who is very unique in his own right. If you follow him, you know what I'm talking about. We have Brandon Joe Williams of One Stupid Fuck, who teaches a variety of things, and he is the pickle master. And we are so
We just said
excited to
pickles
have
and
you
my
here.
flag.
God. It doesn't get
Thank
any
you for being
better.
here.
It doesn't get any better than having my entire brand be about pickles and then go on a podcast with two beautiful women. It's like I
Oh,
couldn't ask for a better life, honestly. You know what I mean?
I love
I'm
it.
going to ask about the pickles in a moment, but
Totally.
That's why I'm here. This is the best life. I'm living the best life, you see?
um, Brandon, summarize Brandon Joe Williams. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was just living a normal life. I mean, doing everything as just, typical white guy, just straight and narrow, taxes, the whole 9 yards, everything was, perfect. And then I had a company and the employment development department started coming after me. And they were going to destroy this company. And it caused me to kind of seek extreme solutions because all of the quote professionals such as CPAs and lawyers decided they wanted me to create a payment plan. And I'm like, a payment plan for what? This is like some mafia shit, bro. And one thing led to the next. And I had a client of mine who was trying to tell me about a lot of the stuff that I teach, the legal stuff, for a long time, like 2 years. And I was always like, no, you're crazy. You're going to get killed or arrested. You're going to die. CIA is going to come, C4 blast open your doors any second now. Wasn't something I wanted to get into for about 2 years. And then this whole EDD thing kind of pushed me into it. And so I did a bunch of research. I changed up everything. I got rid of the EDD. And then there were so many new doors that I had discovered during that process that I was just like, well, this is so fascinating. I want to continue to pursue this. And I open one door and three more open, and you open one of those, and then there's five more behind that one, and then it's just an endless. So that's just been kind of like then I decided I wanted to like make this whole thing kind of my whole life, and I was so obsessed with it that I was just like loved it so much, and I was just so obsessed with digging into the next thing and getting into the next thing and figuring it all out and tying it down and making it actionable. And then now it's like my whole life and my whole thing. And then now I do like mainline litigation. We just activated our fourth lawsuit. We're serving a couple lawsuits. So it's like, it's all still very new. The first lawsuit is rolling along. A lot of action in that one. The second one is still pretty new. The third one is still pretty new. And then the fourth one is literally brand new. But we have tons and tons and tons. I mean, at the way things are going, I'll probably file 20 to 50 cases a year every year for the rest of my life. I don't know.
Wow.
Like it's just basically just endless at this
Wow.
point.
Quick,
So
quick question, Brandon. When you started going down that path, how long ago was that? I'm just curious.
September of 2021.
Nice.
Wow. Okay, so you've come a long way
And
Yeah.
2.5
okay.
years.
Since okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like full blown, like daily, like white dude, like full blown, like
Like
no criminal
fully in the
record,
matrix.
no criminal record. Like everything is fucking perfect. Like don't want to rock the boat. Like everything, like all of it. Like working a normal job, like doing the normal stuff, like everything. Taxes every year.
Mm-hmm.
All the way across the board, just everything. I have never in my life been outside of the mainstream style of living, like ever. I mean, I always knew like some things were wrong and I didn't trust the establishment. I didn't trust a lot of things, but
Right.
in terms of actual lifestyle, in terms of the actual things that were actually occurring in my life. Because, you know, a lot of people, and I hate to say this because I was one of these people. So it's like, it might sound judgmental, but we go and we complain and then we turn around and we file our taxes. We go and we complain and
Yep.
then we go and renew our driver's license. We go and complain and then we say that we're going to burn this building to the ground and then we turn around and then we do whatever stupid shit that we've been doing. And I did
Yeah.
the same thing. I did the same thing for a long time.
Why do you think that is? Fear?
Because people just you don't even know, you know, we're stuck inside this game that no one knows the rules to. We're stuck inside
Mm.
this thing, and it's like it's not just like a little bit. It's like crazy. It's like nobody knows. Like nobody knows anything. Like we're all lost. This is a whole world is just lost.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you go
Yeah.
through this first phase when you start learning all this stuff where you start thinking that like these people know and like they won't tell me and like they had me in this, you know, but then you realize they don't know either. And then you realize that you've gone through your whole life and you've never met anyone who knew any of this ever. Um, except maybe if you know someone who's like a hardcore judge who's been like being a judge for like a long time, like 10, 20, 30, 40 years, they might know some of this information. Besides that, nobody knows. Not a fucking soul. And it's just a lot to go through. It's an emotional curve. I had Dave Champion, who is the author of Income Tax Shattering the Myths. I'm a fan. This is his book. It's still here because we just had the show a couple days ago, and
Cool.
he's still pissed. And he started in 1994.
Whoa.
Wow.
And he's gone through all sorts of difficulties and injunctions by the U.S. government and all this crazy stuff. He's a Genghis Khan style, you know, tattooed head to toe, 64-year-old bald guy. He's fucking amazing. He's a hell of a guy. And you know, he's still. We were on the show, and I was like, "Wow, you were pissed off for like 15 years." He's like, "I'm still pissed off." And he started in
Mm.
94. There's not a lot of guys that fit that category. A lot of the old time guys that were doing a lot of this stuff, you know, they're so old now that
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of like slipping, you know, they're starting to kind of they're on the way out, you know, and there's this whole new generation of this kind of stuff
Yeah.
that's out right
Mm.
now. And
We
even
had
in
someone on, Brandon, sorry to interrupt. I don't know.
no, no.
Do you follow Strawman Trust?
Yes. I don't I
We
don't I don't I don't really know, like I don't really see. I mean, yes, like, but just like barely. Like it's not really
Right.
I don't really consume a lot of content. It's
Yeah.
I mainly just make it.
Probably good.
Yeah, it just gets to be so
Yeah.
I'm trying to just, you know, focus on one thing at a time, you know.
Hmm.
For a long time I was doing the nationality stuff and then I was doing some other stuff and then now I'm like litigation, negotiable instruments, like I'm just like very focused, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because there's so many different things and people get kind of splattered all over the place and nobody gets anything done. It's very common in this arena. So it's just like, I try so hard to just like not get into that, you know, but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
aware of the account. Yeah.
Okay. Um, because he's come on and he says he's been in this, I guess, field or, thought process for like 20 years. That's what he says, and that he trained with some of the older, kind of like the OGs in this movement. Um, so it's kind of interesting to see different perspectives on it. But other than that, yeah, everybody seems to be pretty new.
Yeah. There's only a handful of people who have been around the block. And as much
Yeah.
as I hate to say it, and it's painful to say it, and I really hate it, but a lot of times the guys who have been around for a long time, they have a lot of confusion and chaos. There's more chaos in the guys who have been around for a long time than the guys who are new. And I think part of the reason why that is, in my opinion, is the materials. Like when I started studying all this in September of 2021, which was practically yesterday in today's world, um, um, there was nothing on the internet. It was just these crazy websites that looked like they were from 1994. that were by these old timey guys, and it was very angry and it was very hard to read, and there was like nothing organized, and it was horrible. I mean, it was fantastic because there's nothing else anywhere. So it's like, thank you, And on one hand, it's like I don't want to be a dick. But on the other hand, it's like whenever I would see these websites, I would be like, I just can't do this. Like, how can anyone do this? I just can't do it. So I went on Amazon and I bought books, and I bought a lot of books. I bought like 30 or 35 books, and those were really well put together. They were linear. They were not impossible to read. They were not emotionally charged. And that's so my first website was March 14th, which we're literally coming up on my 2-year anniversary very soon. It was March 14th of 2022. I read all these books, 30 books or 35 books, and I wanted to create an online resource that wasn't impossible to read, that wasn't emotionally charged, where I took all the information from all these books and I made it into something somewhat linear. And I wanted it to be like a point by point, linear, non-emotional, free online resource, because I couldn't find that when I started. And that's how
That's
this
awesome.
whole thing was born originally, because it was just text and it was much, much shorter. And it had like a fraction of all the fill out and clarification and definitions and evidence that it has now. Because it's gone through, before I even launched it on March 14th, I probably must have changed it, adjusted, or rewrote the original version 140 times between January and March of 2022. And then after March 14th, 2022, it probably went through another 180 changes or variations. Some of them were smaller, maybe just a sentence or two here and there. And some of them I did massive changes where I gutted whole sections or whole massive sections and rewrote massive sections in a different way or a different style. And you can even go on the Wayback Machine and you can go back. I don't know how many screenshots there are of my website, but you can see if you go back on the Wayback Machine, the website was going under tremendous changes all the time, up until maybe 8 months ago. I think that started to kind of calm down a little bit. But then the free course came out on July 2nd of 2022. So it was March 14th, 2022, and then the course was July 2nd, 2022. And I shot all that video like literally late May all through June.
Nice.
Like almost every single day that I wasn't working or doing something else, literally like total fucking obsession, like for probably 5 entire weeks to shoot all those videos. And those were all first takes. I didn't reshoot anything. It was like I hit the fucking record button and it's like fucking whatever happens,
love it.
happens. And it's like that's the end of the story. Because 5 weeks is going to turn into 5 years real fast,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love
sometimes
it.
that's the best content. It's like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
going live somewhere. You get because you have to do it, so your brain just does it.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
speaking from your heart anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon, if you were to tell someone that doesn't know anything about what you do, how would you easily explain it to them? Just so people that are on here understand.
I teach, how things really work, I guess. I don't know. I don't
The
even know. It's
truth.
always
You
different.
teach
It's
the
always
truth.
different. Yeah. So like I teach things like the definition of the word person. It means, an individual, an estate, a trust, a partnership, association, company, corporation. And like, how does that affect you? And, and then like the definition of the term naturalization, which people believe it means to be domiciled in a particular location for more than 7 years. That's not even remotely close to anything having to do with the definition at all. The definition of naturalization is the conferring of nationality of a state upon a person after birth by any means whatsoever. And the definition of the word person is an individual, a trust, a state, partnership, company, corporation. So the thing is that when you're born, there's a corporation that's made of your name in all capital letters, and then every single corporation or trust or estate or company or partnership that you do actually have, these are all different persons. And the way I explain it now, which as of the last like 3 or 4 weeks, I switched up the way I explained it. I use a Monopoly board now, and every single person. So you as the natural person, then your public corporation, Those are two persons. And then you have one corporation. That's now three persons. And then you have, let's say, a trust. Now you have four persons, right? Or more simply, let's say you have three corporations. That's more simple for most people to understand. So you, as the individual, you have two corporations. You have two persons. You have the natural person and the what's called the ens legis, which we can get into how all that works. And then you have the three corporations. So if you're a single man and you have three corporations, then in your life, in law, you have five persons. And basically what I teach is how to operate all of those persons. So the way that you locate a person is through naturalization. Just because your physical body is located in a location has absolutely nothing to do with anything in the law. It means nothing. In the law, you are, and it's not even you, it's the person. So it could be your corporation, your trust, your estate, your partnership, your ens legis, which is the corporation of your name in all capital letters, or you as a natural person are located only and exclusively by what you say. You can live in California and you can say that you live in Utah, and legally you live in Utah. That's how it works.
Wow.
Does not matter where you, does not matter. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. You only live in the state that you live in because you say you live in the state that you live in. You can live in any state you want. If you never tell anyone that you live in that state, legally, you don't actually live there. And that's actually the way that it actually works. And it gets a little more complicated than that, obviously. The rabbit holes get much more fascinating. For example, State of California is actually a corporation that's located in the District of Columbia. So when you say that you live in State of California, you don't realize what you're actually saying. United States is also located in the District of Columbia, which I can do a screen share and show all this if you want. This is what I go over in the course.
Quick thing here. We have a couple questions in the chat. Some of them might lead you too deep, so we could always circle back to them. Should we get to them now and then we can get to your screenshots, or do you want to get into the screenshots first?
Let's do super fast. I'm going to do like ultra speed run on the screenshots,
and
which
then we'll
might be a
come
little
back.
bit difficult for brand new people, but we're just going to do like super fast.
Okay. And my mom
Because
said,
I don't like talking about things that I can't show. It just drives me fucking crazy. You know?
yeah, so this might answer some questions, but my mom said she wants you on her speed dial.
under pickle man. So the way that the United States Code is structured, right? You can see here it goes by titles. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's all the different titles, all the different subjects, right? So the first number is always the title. Then the second part is the body of law. There's different bodies. A lot of them are all very similar, actually. So it might seem confusing, but really they're all pretty similar. They say the same thing in different ways, essentially. So when you start studying one code a lot of times you can find a lot of the same stuff just in a little different wording. It's in the same section in a different code. It's almost as if a lot of it was written just to be complicated and hoping that no one ever notices that.
Yep.
This is a section symbol here, this little weird looking S thing. And then if you see the circle with two S's, one on top of each other, that means subsection. One S means section, right? This is actually a legal symbol. And then this is the section number, 3002. Okay, so if we go down to 28 USC 3002, subsection A15, I believe it is. No, it's just 15. It's 15A. United States means a federal corporation, right? Now, there are many different places where the word person are defined. For example, in the Internal Revenue Code, which is the tax code, the word person is defined here in 26 USC section 7701 subsection A1. The term person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. And what is the legal definition of the word person? You'll see all these different things, individual person as well as natural and legal entities. You'll see in Title 8, the definition is an individual or a corporation, or I'm sorry, it's an individual or an organization is the actual definition. But anywhere you look, you're always going to see these corporations or artificial persons or something associated with non-human being entities. You're always going to see that everywhere you look in the law, because that's always a part of the definition of the word person, and it's a huge part of this whole nightmare that we're inside of. Right. So a federal corporation. So that means that United States is legally a person, which is pretty wild, but that's actually literally how it is, right? Now, where is that person located? If you go to a different body of law called the Uniform Commercial Code, this section symbol, we're seeing it again. Now, this first number is the article. So the way that the United States Code goes, it goes by title, which just means section or chapter or however you want to say it. The UCC goes by article. It means the same thing. It means like a section, right? So it's Article 9, Section 307. If we go down to subsection H, we're going to find out where is that person located. That person, called the United States is located in the District of Columbia. Now, for people who are new, they're very shocked by this, but it actually gets more shocking because where in the District of Columbia, how large of the District of Columbia is taken up by this thing called United States? We don't know. There's no information we've ever seen anywhere that describes how large, where, location, coordinates, nothing. There's no information. So even if you were in Washington, D.C., we actually don't know if you're in the United States. I don't think there's no real location. There's a loose, vague, possible location. And then somewhere inside the 10 square mile radius of District of Columbia, there's some location, however large, or we don't know where. Could be the southeast corner. It could be a square. It could be an octagon. It could be a triangle. We have no idea. We have no idea what it looks like or anything. We just know that somewhere, some size, some shape, some delineation, it's this thing that's located in the District of Columbia. It's a person as well, which is also really weird and complicated, right? Now, if you go to 42 USC 9102, you will see the definition of the term. We're going to go to subsection 18. Now, just to verify this, in case anyone thinks I'm totally insane, you have your United States citizen. What is a United States citizen? Well, if you look at subsection C, it says here, any corporation, partnership, association, or other entity organized or existing under the laws of the United States. So a corporation is a person, and if that corporation was given to you via the United States government by law, that person is a United States citizen. And you can go online, you can type in, is a corporation a United States citizen? And you'll find these long articles where they're like, well, blah, 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 blah. They try to mitigate it. It's all bullshit. If you have a corporation or an association or a partnership or any other entity that was organized or exists under the laws of the United States at all whatsoever, it is a person, and that person is a United States citizen. So you can tell how crazy this gets.
Would that count as an LLC?
Definitely. An
As I
LLC.
have an LLC, which I realize now is stupid.
An LLC is a person, and that person is a United States citizen.
Oh, okay.
To the point where I believe, and it's a theory, it's never been proven, no one's ever done it.
Right.
I believe you can literally get a passport issued for a corporation. You would need to litigate to get that done. But I believe through litigation, you can bash the head in of the Department of State, and by law, they would have to issue a passport to a corporation.
Wow.
Never been done. I've never heard of anyone trying it. I'll probably get bored one day and do it.
Maybe I should try and be the first one.
Literally, I'm not kidding. You would probably have your photo as part of that passport, and you would be the
Yeah.
representative of that person. And that's the way the passport would have your photo on it. And then where it has name, it would have the corporation name.
I can just picture the people at the airport.
Yeah. It's pretty wild, huh? So we're going to skip that one. That was just for shock effect, right? So we're going to go to one that is more typical for what people think the definition of United States citizen is. So United States citizen means, and then we have subsection A, any individual who is a citizen of the United States by law, birth, or naturalization. Law means by contract, birth means born in the District of Columbia, born in the United States. But what's funny is that if you were in court and you said you were born in Washington D.C. and you said, I actually don't know if I was born in the United States because the United States is located in the District of Columbia, but I don't know where or how large. You could probably win that argument. Just by the way, so birth is a little bit goofy. I would just remove that, honestly, right? This is the word that means everything, in my opinion, under the sun, moon, and stars. The word naturalization. Now, what is naturalization? We're going to go to Title 8, which is all about nationality and citizenship and all sorts of good stuff. We're going to go to 8 USC 1101, subsection A23. And we're going to learn what is the definition of naturalization. Most people believe it means that you're in a location for more than 7 years, something along those lines. It's kind of vague when you ask people what it means. So the definition of naturalization right here is the term naturalization means the conferring of nationality of a state upon a person after birth by any means whatsoever. You click on the definition of the word person, you're going to see the definition of the word person specifically for Title 8, but it's very similar. The term person means an individual or an organization. So if we were to replace some of these words, it'll make more sense. The term naturalization means the conferring of nationality of a state upon a individual or organization after birth by any means whatsoever. So now the one word that's left that no one knows the definition of is the word state. Most people believe it's one of those 50 things that we have. No, that's not even close to what state actually means. So in order to get that cleaned up, so the word state and the word nation mean the same thing, and I can kind of prove that. If we go to, this is my website. So it gets a little bit complicated because the way that they use it so if you go to 28 USC 3002, back to the definition section that we saw earlier, and you go to subsection 14, it has the definition of the word state, but they always capitalize it. Capitalized. Now in Title 8, talking about nationality and talking about naturalization, they don't capitalize the word. And when you click on it, it goes to the capital definition.
Huh.
Now, this is the only area in all of law ever that is totally occult black magic. Everything else is pretty well defined. Like, you will not find, from all my research, there's only one term that is, in my opinion, deliberately not defined anywhere properly at all. It's totally insane, totally convoluted, used capital, used lowercase, never explained. Everything else is explained in all of law. The only word that's not is the word state.
Wow.
Now, I went on I saw that and I latched on like breastfeeding child. I was all in on this word state, right? So what I decided was I was going to do a whole research project as to what it is and what it means. And from my own research, these are the definitions that I got. When capitalized, they're referring to a corporation that is physically located in the District of Columbia, and all corporate states are located only and exclusively in the District of Columbia. And when they use the lowercase state, they're using the actual legal definition, which is in its largest state, sense, a state is just a body politic or society of men. It's way more vague and open, right? Now, can I show you anything on this? No, but if you dig around long enough, you'll see they're two entirely different words, and only one of them is defined. Only the capital letter word is defined, right? Which is also very complicated. We're not going to get into all that. So the definition of the word state is the exact same as the definition of the word nation, because if you look up body politic and the other words that are used in that definition, what is it, body politic or society, those terms are pretty vague, and they all kind of use each other. Okay, now the word nation doesn't do that. The word nation is actually what a state, when lowercase, actually means, right? And the word nation is defined as the following: an independent body politic, a society of men united together for the purpose of promoting their mutual safety and advantage by the joint efforts of their combined strength. But every combination of men who govern themselves independently of all others will not be considered a nation. A body of pirates, for example, who govern themselves, are not a nation. To constitute a nation, another ingredient is required. The body thus formed must respect other nations in general and each of their members in particular. Such a society has her affairs and her interests. She deliberates and takes resolutions in common, thus becoming a moral person who possesses an understanding and will peculiar to herself and is susceptible of obligations and rights. Now, what this means is a nation is a body of cells, which would be individuals, just like a human body, that operate together and have good internal tranquility and good external tranquility and diplomatic relations. It has absolutely nothing to do with location or territory or coordinates. Physical location is not a part of the definition of the word nation at all. So when you say, oh, it's the 50 states and each of those names of those states is a location, no, none of that's true. You could say, you could move the borders of California just because a bunch of people decided that it was going to encompass a larger area. And if that nation decided that, then that would be the new borders of that particular nation. There are no physical borders of a nation. There are only agreements to physical borders that have nothing to do with the definition. So if we reread this now, the term naturalization, and if we replace the word nation with the word state with the word nation, it's going to make a little more sense. The term naturalization means the conferring of nationality of a nation upon a individual or organization after birth by any means whatsoever. This is the game that everyone's playing, and no one has any clue what they're doing or how to play the game. We're all lost inside this game that we're playing on rules that have absolutely nothing to do with the real rules of the game. These are the real rules of the game. So the way I explain it is a monopoly board. When you're born, there's an ens legis or public corporation made of your name in all capital letters, right? Now, what is that? Public corporation, as per Black's law, a public corporation is one created by the state for political purposes and to act as an agency in the administration of civil government. They tell you very clearly, it is created by the government to act as an agency in the administration of government. That's what this all caps name really is, right? Now, another term I really enjoy using a lot is the term ens legis. Ens legis means a creature of the law, an artificial being as contrasted with a natural person, applied to corporations, considered as deriving their existence entirely from the law. So when you're born, there's one of these made in your name in all capital letters. So I take the monopoly board and I say, okay, there's all these different monopoly pieces. Monopoly pieces, right? You've got the, oh, this is a special one here. You've got the dog, you've got the all these different pieces. You got the car, you got the top hat, the ship, the dog, the iron, the thimble, all right? So when you're born, you as a natural person is one piece, and then the ens legis is another piece, and then any other corporations, trusts, associations, partnerships, etc. that you have are all other pieces. So you have all these pieces. Now, the way these pieces move around the board is by simply conferring nationality of the spot that you would like that piece to inhabit after birth by any means whatsoever, and that piece instantaneously transports to that spot. And it gets a little bit crazier because there's nothing I've ever seen that says that you can't locate a person in more than one spot at one time. So you could actually take one of your playing pieces, one of your ens legises or corporations or trusts or estates or partnerships or associations or companies, and you could actually confer the nationality of every single space on the entire monopoly board upon that particular playing piece. And technically, that particular playing piece would be located on every single spot on the entire board all at the same time. And that is the actual way that this game called law is played. There is a nation called United States, which is also a person. It is located somewhere. God only knows where, inside of the District of Columbia. The only possible way that you can move into this completely unknown zone, no one really knows where or how large it is. They just know that it's somewhere inside this 10-mile square radius zone. The only way you can possibly live there or domicile there or be a resident there is by conferring the nationality of that nation upon one of your playing pieces. Are you conferring it upon yourself as the natural person? Are you conferring it upon the ens legis? Are you conferring it upon your corporation? The only way it can ever locate there, it cannot be located there because your natural person is physically located in the District of Columbia, because no one can prove that that particular physical location is within the particular location of United States. That's not how this works. It works only and exclusively by you saying that you live there. You live everywhere you live, or your corporations, or your trust, or your estate, or your partnership, or your ens legis lives wherever you say it lives. And the thing is, you've only conferred one location on that particular thing. You can confer as many or as few or any locations you want at any point in time by simply conferring it, by simply stating it. So all your pieces can be located on all of the spots on the entire board all the time. And let's say Boardwalk has given you troubles. You can remove the nationality of Boardwalk upon any of your playing pieces at any time by simply conferring that it's no longer part of the conferring of the nationality of that piece instantly. And that's essentially how all this works, right? Now, if you can now what is required to be you've heard this term national or state national or American national.
Yeah.
The actual term comes from this same section, which is 8 USC 1101 subsection A23, which is the same section we see here in naturalization. If we scroll up just a tad, we'll see here, and if you look, it's not capitalized. The term national means a person, individual or organization, owing permanent allegiance to a state or nation. I like the word nation more. So if we were to reread this, the term national means a individual or organization owing permanent allegiance to a nation. Now, the word permanent sets people up a lot, and you'll see it means fucking nothing. The term permanent means a relationship of continuing or lasting nature as distinguished from temporary, but a relationship may be permanent even though it is one that may be dissolved eventually at the instance either of the United States or of the individual in accordance with law. It means fuck all. You can actually remove it. Okay? So let's reread it again now. The term national means a individual or organization owing allegiance to a nation. Okay. What does allegiance mean? So now we're going to go down to my explanatory statement, which I give away for free on my website. Okay, and we're going to look up a lot of the information on how this works. We'll just take a moment. Allegiance. So the word allegiance from Black's Law, which I just have it here, it's much easier. By allegiance is meant the obligation of fidelity and obedience which the individual owes to the government under which he lives or to his sovereign in return for the protection he receives. Now, this is the most important part. It may be an absolute and permanent obligation, or it may be qualified and temporary one. Okay. So now we're going to look at 22 CFR 51.2. So what is a passport issued to? A passport may be issued only to a U.S. national. What is a national? A person, meaning an individual or organization, that owes allegiance to a nation. What nation would they need to owe allegiance to in order to be a U.S. national? Well, obviously the U.S. The term national of the United States means one of two things: a citizen of the United States, or B, a person, individual organization, who, though not a citizen of the United States, owes permanent allegiance to the United States. Same definition of permanent. You can remove it. So let's reread it. A person who, let's reread it. Actually, I'm going to replace that too. A individual or organization who, though not a citizen of the United States, owes allegiance to the United States. That's a U.S. national. Now, if we go to 22 USC 212, we can see some more information about that. No passport shall be granted or issued to or verified for any other persons than those owing allegiance, whether citizens or not, to the United States. So do you need to live in the United States or in this unknown area in the District of Columbia in order to pledge allegiance to the District of Columbia? No, you could be in France and you don't even speak English and you can pledge allegiance to the District of Columbia. Who cares, right? So what does that mean? It means anyone can get a passport. What do you need to work in America? What do you need to open a bank account in America? What do you need to transport yourself in a car in America? You only need one thing: passport.
Very interesting.
Now, if we get into taxation, 26 CFR 1.871-1, what are the classifications of taxation? For purposes of the income tax, alien individuals are divided generally into two classes, namely resident aliens and non-resident aliens. Now, you want to call me a resident alien, you got to prove that I live in the United States. You can't prove where the United States is located. How are you going to do that? It's going to be pretty tough, right? Resident alien individuals are, in general, taxable the same as citizens of the United States. That is, a resident alien is taxable on income derived from all sources, including sources without the United States. The only way you can the only way you can be a resident alien of United States is by literally saying that you are a resident alien of the United States. There's no other way to be there. It's physically impossible to be there. You can't be there. The only way you could be there is by conferring the nationality of the state called the United States upon a person, and you don't even know who the fuck you're conferring it on. Are you conferring it on the ens legis, or are you conferring it on yourself as a natural person? You use this name. It's the same name both ways. Which name are you referring to? You don't know. They don't know. No one knows. So not only do you have no idea what you're doing, you don't even know who you're doing it on. Now, non-resident alien individuals are taxable only on certain income from sources within the United States. And then there's the second part, but it doesn't fucking go anywhere. So just ignore that. If you want to dig into it, have fun. It doesn't go anywhere. Okay. Now, Here's where naturalization comes back into play. It's always naturalization. Conferring a nationality of a state upon a person after birth by any means whatsoever. It's the only way any playing piece can be moved anywhere. It's impossible for any playing piece to be moved in any direction, anywhere, any way, how, without someone conferring the nationality of that particular playing piece upon that particular playing piece after birth by any means whatsoever. It says here, however, non-resident alien individuals may elect to be treated as U.S. residents for purposes of determining their income tax liability. So the reason why you pay taxes is because you naturalized, which the way that the Internal Revenue Code takes that is you elected to be treated as though you live in the United States. So
Wow.
you were not a U.S. citizen until you said you were a U.S. citizen. You are only a U.S. citizen until you say you are not a U.S. citizen, and then you are no longer a U.S. citizen. End of story. Where you live makes absolutely no difference. If you were the president of the United States, living in the White House in Washington, D.C., you only live in the United States as long as you confer nationality of the state called the United States upon yourself or the ens legis after birth by any means whatsoever. The second you stop doing it or clarify that you don't, instantaneously, you do not live in the United States. If you want to get a passport, all you do is you just pledge allegiance to the United States and boom, you get a passport. You could live in fucking Zimbabwe.
Gosh, there's so many questions, and we have
Yeah.
some questions in the chat. And I was just gonna kind of piggyback on that. So for I think a lot of people that are watching, just learning about this, have been paying taxes and they're not aware of what you just said. So if you've already in the past years elected to pay taxes, do you have to go the full route to correct your status as a state national for tax protection, or does that kind of screw you that you already paid in past years?
No. You have a previous contract where you confer the nationality of the United States upon a person after birth by any means whatsoever. All you have to do is just clean that up and let them know that that particular person or persons doesn't have conference of that particular state any longer. I have a free document on my Nation of the Amnesty Coalition page, and it's called a revocation of election to be treated as a U.S. resident for purposes of determining your income tax liability. Just as easily as you elected to be treated as though you are a U.S. resident for the purposes of determining your income tax liability, you can revoke that election just as easily as you elected. So the second you said you were there, you were there. The second you say you're not there, you're not there. Period.
So
You could be in Zimbabwe. If you say you live in the United States, technically on paper, you live in the United States. If you say you don't live in the United States, then technically in law, you no longer live in the United States.
right. So you can do that revocation without prior to doing the full state national status correction, or does one go hand in hand, the full thing?
I mean, you could do whatever you want. I mean, this is the explanatory statement that I issue for free that you attach to your DS11 passport application form, which gets you a special passport. It's the
Okay.
non-citizen national passport. And if you scroll down, it has a qualified temporary allegiance, right? So I wrote this specifically because when people learn about this, they have a bit of an issue pledging allegiance to a person that can't even define its own fucking borders, located somewhere in the District of Columbia. So I wrote this in a way to kind of assuage a lot of those considerations, right? So I say here, to be clear, I am not an enemy of the incorporated entity that calls itself United States. But since I do not live in that area, nor do I have much in the way of contractual obligations to that area, my allegiance lies simply in the ideas that are found within that incorporated body that would match up with the definitions of nation and peace from the definitions in section 2. So the word peace, in terms of the word nation, they almost have exactly the same definition, which is pretty wild because if you go to 18 USC 11, It'll tell you what is a foreign government in relation to the United States. The term foreign government includes any government, faction, or body of insurgents within a country with which the United States is at peace. This is the most important part, irrespective of recognition by the United States. So if you have a nation and it's separate, which is anything, you literally just confer it. It could be the nation of the fucktards. Boom. You say, I confer the
Pickle Nation.
nationality. I confer the nationality of Pickle Nation upon my trust that I have here after birth by any means whatsoever. Instantaneously, that trust is transported in law to the nation of the Pickle Nation. Now, the problem is that in relation to the United States, that particular nation has to be at peace in order to be considered a foreign government. Now, what does peace mean? Peace means almost exactly the same thing as the definition of nation, right? Let me see if I can find it here. If not, it's here.
It's funny because someone commented in the chat, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, but I don't think that people are, that was before you went into that. People don't
And
realize.
the republic for which it stands, keep in mind.
Right. And so people don't realize, what are you saying? What are you pledging allegiance to?
Yeah, so anyone who it's the same thing. If you pledge allegiance to the United States, then you are qualified to get a passport. It's that simple. So what is the definition of the word peace? The tranquility enjoyed by a political society, internally by the good order which reigns among its members, and externally by the good understanding it has with all other nations. Applied to the internal regulations of a nation, peace imports, which means like shows or indicates, in a technical sense, not merely a state of repose and security as opposed to one of violence or warfare, but likewise a state of public order and decorum. So it's a little bit of an additional explanation of nation, but it's almost exactly the same fucking definition as nation. So if you have a bunch of people and they're all combined together, and I can show you more proof on this. If you go to Foreign Affairs Manual 505.2, this is all about the passport endorsements and the different types of endorsements you can get on a passport. This is a unclassified website. You can see at the top, unclassified. So if you go down to subsection 11, endorsement number 11, it says here, the bearer is an ambassador at large for blank, right? Now, what's amazing is this is literally right on the DS11 form, and no one has ever noticed that it's there. And it's literally right on the goddamn form. Look at this. So here's the DS11. You scroll down, and here's the first page. We have here D O S NFR END dot number. What is this? No one's ever filled any of this out. No one's ever asked, what is this? And if you ask any passport person, they have no idea. This does not say do not fill it out. It does not say filled out only by something, something. It doesn't say, it's literally in the section you're supposed to fucking fill out. D is diplomat, O is official, S is standard, and NFR is no fee regular. These are literally types of passports. CFR types of passports. 22 CFR 51.3. Types of passports: a regular passport, a service passport, official passport has 4 different subsections of official passport, diplomatic passport, passport card. This is what they are referring to on the DS11. What type of passport would you like to have? END period pound means in terms of the type of passport you have selected, what endorsement numbers would you like that particular passport to have? D, this one only applies to D. Some of these only apply to NFR or official. And there's all these different endorsement codes. Endorsement number 11 is only applicable for diplomatic passports. Endorsement number 11 means the passport is ambassador at large for, and then it has the title of whatever you're the ambassador at large for. Now they give an example here. Ambassador at large for global women's issues. Global Women's Issues is not a fucking location. Global Women's Issues is a group of people who have good internal and external tranquility. They are sharing external tranquility and they operate with morals and decorum as a body of individuals, a body of minds. Global Women's Issues is not something that's located only in Iran or only in Texas. It is a totally shifting, totally changing nation. It is a nation. The nation does not have a location or territory or coordinates. Now, this is even further proven by the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. This is a group that has full-blown, complete sovereign diplomatic immunity everywhere in the world. They issue their own passports. They issue their own driver's licenses and license plates. And this Order of Malta does not own land. It has no physical location. Yes, they have a headquarters, but that's just their headquarters. They do not have land. They are a nation. They are a landless nation. They don't even have roads, and they issue license plates. This is the best proof I've ever found that you do not need land at all to have a foreign nation. It has nothing to do with anything, right? So going back to the DS-11, you click D for diplomat, and then under endorsement number, you push 11. I don't know what EXP is. Some people think it's expiration, but we don't know. So I don't know what that is. At some point, we'll probably learn, So the way that this works is that's how you get the special passport. You can get other ways of doing special passports and all the good stuff, right? But if we go back to the allegiance pledge, because the allegiance pledge is where we got off on that whole peace thing, right? If we go to allegiance, let's see here. Right here. Here we go. So it says here, my allegiance is not infinite and unconditional. My allegiance is confined to be within the definitions of nation and peace. And if the federal corporation decides at any point to step outside of those definitions, then my allegiance would end at that point. By definition, if the federal corporation ever steps outside the definition of nation or peace, then by its own codes, it ceases to exist. My allegiance ends at that moment because the nation ceases to exist, simply because my support cannot exist for a nation that does not physically exist. My true and unfettered allegiance lies in the ideas and spirit behind the idea of being a true American. Freedom, common law, masculine and feminine duality, supreme force, technical performance, national pride, etc. My love and devotion to the heart and soul of our collection of independent, unincorporated states is unquestionable and barely conditional. My allegiance ultimately lies in the unincorporated state in which I domicile, but that love does truly extend to all other unincorporated states found within our union that intend and factually produce tranquility inside and outside of their nation and carry themselves as a unified body that operates with morals and decorum. So each independent nation state of our union is unincorporated. So state of California is located in the District of Columbia. California Republic is an independent nation state, which people have heard that term before. The Republic of California, or California Republic, is located here. State of California is located somewhere, God knows where, in the District of Columbia. Everyone in California Republic has conferred the nationality of the state called State of California upon themselves or their ens legis after birth by any means whatsoever. So legally on paper, almost no one lives in any of the 50 states. 99.7% of the entire population of America lives only and exclusively in the District of Columbia, which is a foreign incorporated commercial zone that has absolutely nothing to do with the Constitution or anything else. Hence, that's why the Constitution does not apply in a court of law.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Awesome. Kind of speechless. I think that gives a nice overview. I think this topic is we've had a few people on to talk about this, and it's too much to get into in an hour, even 2 hours, but to give an overview is great. And then we do have a few questions, if you don't mind, if we
Sure,
tap
let's do
into
it.
those. Okay. So Candace asks, this is two questions in one. Her and her husband are in their 70s. And she said, if we, for, what she means is if they correct their status, become a state national or whatever, would they lose their social security benefits?
No.
No.
It's the number
Okay.
one question I get asked. I get asked it like 1,000 times a day. No. The ens legis, the problem is that you as the natural person and the ens legis are operating and identifying as one person. You are two persons. Whether you like it or not, doesn't make any difference. You can fight it all day long. You can freak out. You can hate it. You can be like, I wanted you to just be one person. Doesn't matter. You can beg for that as long as you want. You can scream. You can fight. You can do whatever you want. You are two persons. Your children are all two persons. Now, it's very fascinating, though. This gets a little more complicated. If you have a marriage license, the license is actually a corporate merger of the two corporations.
Wow.
So what happens is that that's why in law, when you're married, you're considered one person, and you cannot. The reason why you cannot, like, for example, let's say your wife is arrested and you can't testify against your wife because your wife and you are one person, and you can't, as per the Fifth Amendment, you cannot incriminate yourself. Your wife is yourself. You are the same person in law. The Fifth Amendment is why you literally cannot, because your wife in law is literally you. You are one organism. It's like being Siamese twins. It's a corporate merger, though. There's still so if you don't have a marriage license, there's four persons: natural person, corporation, natural person. When you get a marriage license, the two corporations merge. So there's two natural persons, and then you have the one corporation now, which is the merger. Now there's three persons. When you get a divorce, it's a disconnection of the merger. Now you have four persons again.
Okay.
So marriage licenses are one of those things that you have to get rid of if you want to, because the thing is that a marriage license is actually a corporate merger, not only between the two corporations, but also the state of California. So you're also merging with state of California. So it's actually a triple merger that occurs whenever you have a marriage license.
When you think of that spiritually, that's super creepy.
It's
yeah,
creepy.
real creepy. And I'm already been married and divorced, and ugh.
Yeah. So a lot of people going down this road, if they want to fully disconnect from the state, they have to annul. We like annulment. Annulment's a lot easier. Annulment is basically just saying through fraud, this thing never existed in the first place, and just cut it. And then you can do a common law marriage. You can do like other options and stuff like that. But if you want to truly disconnect entirely from the state, you have to annul any marriage license. It's the license specifically.
Okay. So regular divorce won't do it. You have to annul it.
No, you can do a divorce. It's just a lot longer and more annoying. Annulment's way more simple.
Okay. So I'm already been there, done that.
There you go.
Years past. Her second question. Her husband works for a Fortune 500 company, and how could he stop them from withholding income tax?
You issue a new I-9, and you check box 2, which states a non-citizen national of the United States, and you are going to issue a W-8 BEN form, which is not easy to fill out. I I show you how in my free contract killer course. And you can also find other videos online on how to fill one of those out. But the W-8-BEN is the proper form. And you would need to issue a new I-9 form with that W-8-BEN.
Would it be the same thing if you're an independent, like I'm an independent contractor, not an employee?
No, an independent contractor, because you do your own taxes, you would fill out the revocation of election to be treated as a U.S. resident for the purpose of determining your income tax liability.
Gotcha.
And then after that point, you are a non-resident alien. A non-resident alien only has a tax liability for income that they make directly from the United States. Where the fuck is the United States? No one knows. So good luck with that one.
So then
Okay.
this has nothing to even do with being a state national versus being a citizen,
No, you are literally wherever you say you are.
right?
It's so
And you wouldn't have to do all of that other paperwork to legally not file taxes. And
if you don't want a passport, you don't even need to become a national. A national is somebody who owes allegiance or permanent allegiance, which is horseshit, who owes allegiance to the state or nation called United States. If you don't live in United States and you don't wish to pledge allegiance to the United States, you would be a non-citizen, non-national. You wouldn't be any of the above. But you also would not be able to get a passport.
Okay. So that's why people do the state national for the passport so that they can.
A state national, if you want a great definition or just the word national in general, my definition of national is somebody who does not live in the United States, who has issued either an absolute declaration of allegiance or a qualified and temporary pledge of allegiance. That's my definition of the term national. State national is actually a little bit impure because the word national has the word state in it. It's a little bit, I used to use it, and then as I learned more, I didn't change it because all my URLs and everything, I just kind of left it alone. But if you want to be more pure, it's actually just the word national, because the national is a person who owes permanent allegiance to a state. So state national is a little bit rhetorical, basically, right? It's just national. On the I-9, it's a non-citizen national of the United States. They're not a citizen, but they've pledged some kind of allegiance, something. Thus, they've been issued a passport and they have a relationship with the United States, which is a nation, which is a person. And that's how it works.
So are you a national or a secured party creditor or both?
I don't really like the whole secured party creditor thing because it's, that's a whole nother subject I can't get into right now. As far as I'm concerned, the definition of the term secured party creditor, and like, look, every time I ask somebody what the fuck that means, they go on and on for 4 hours. That means you don't understand it. If you can't explain it in under 17 hours, that means you don't understand it. I'm sorry. I feel the same way. Like if I'm fucking trying to explain something and it takes me 17 hours, I'm like, bro, I don't fucking know. Obviously. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, from everything I've researched, is promissory notes and bills of exchange are called negotiable instruments. The way that you sign them, there's a million different ways you can sign them. The way that you sign them is called an endorsement, and it's actually spelled differently than people think. It's INDORSEMENT. A secured party creditor is someone who endorses a negotiable instrument with something called a special endorsement, which I know we're going way far into this, but that is my definition of a secured party creditor. And if you would like to see my video on that, I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's literally how to have infinite money in less than 10 minutes is the name of the video. And in that video, I explain what is a negotiable instrument, what is an endorsement, what is a blank endorsement, what is a special endorsement, how does that work in relation to the creation of money, all this stuff. What is money? What is currency? What is funds, which are totally different. I get into all that in literally a 10-minute video. And if you sign documentations in a certain way, you become the secured party creditor. If you do not sign them in a certain way, which literally 99.999999999% of all signatures in this entire country are all done in a different way that would not make you a secured party creditor. If you sign it with a special endorsement, which means that you put some specific information in the signature lines whenever you sign a document, you become the secured party creditor. It's that simple. It's all in the way you sign. You either sign a certain way or you don't. Because when you sign the documentation in a certain way, you claim all of the value of that of which you are creating. Whoever creates all of the value in a transaction becomes the secured party. The secured party is the person who's secured by the collateral of whatever's involved in the particular transaction.
Mm.
My definition is not a definition that you will ever see anyone else use, because they want to go on and on for 947 pages and explain to you what an SPC is, because they don't have a fucking clue what it means. I don't think SPC means much of anything. I mean,
Yeah.
being the secured party because you endorsed an instrument in a certain way, it just means that you're the holder. They call it the holder. You're the holder. So it's like I get this negotiable instrument and I bring it into existence and then I claim it for myself and I hold it. I'm the secured party because, hey, bro, I got the money. I'm in control. When you just sign with your name and you put no conditions at all, it's called a blank endorsement. What's happening is you're bringing that security into existence, and then you're releasing it without condition. And then the bank puts a special endorsement on it and they claim it. And the way in the legal world, the way that works is you basically abandoned or released that security without any condition. It's the same as a blank check. You basically just wrote out a blank check for the bank. And the bank says, thank you very much. They claim the blank check, and then now they're the secured party. But if you would have done the same shit that they're about to do when you hand the fucking thing to them, you become the secured party. And the bank freaks out. They've never seen anybody do this. That's my definition of a secured party creditor.
I love it. So Ellen asked, I think basically she just wants to know, what benefits have you seen from changing your status? Obviously, you don't pay taxes.
Well,
Have
hold
you
on.
done it?
You never say you don't pay taxes. I don't have a tax liability.
Gotcha.
Totally different statement. The first one
Gotcha.
is a little bit,
Yeah.
you wouldn't want to say that first one to the IRS.
Yeah.
So check this out. If you go to, I'm going to share my screen again. If you go to the frivolous tax position IRS page, you're going to see their favorite word, their sexual word. This is sexual for the IRS. They have a sexual word, and it's the opposite of a safe word. It's an unsafe word. Okay. It's the word taxpayer.
Uh-huh.
And you can see they go on and on and on and on. Everyone is a taxpayer. Everything is a taxpayer. Everybody, dear taxpayer. Every time they write to you, right? You can see all the way down frivolous, right? Now, what in the flying fuck is a taxpayer?
Oh my gosh.
26 USC 7701, subsection A14 gives you the definition of the term taxpayer. It's fucking stupid. The term taxpayer means any person, and they're using the same definition here from subsection A1, which is the term person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. So let's read it, and we're going to add that into the definition just to be goofy and silly and fun. The term taxpayer means any individual, trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation subject to any internal revenue tax. You're only subject to the fucking tax because you said you're subject to the tax. So basically, the definition of the term taxpayer, if you were to combine everything we've learned so far, it means any individual, trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation of which has had conferred upon it the nationality of the state called United States after birth by any means whatsoever. That is the definition of the word taxpayer. So when they go through here and they say taxpayer, 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 there are some taxpayers who believe that the definition of the word United States means blah, 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 blah. They're saying, what they're saying in that, it's an oxymoron. They're saying that there are some taxpayers that believe they are non-resident aliens. There are some people There are some individuals, corporations, estates, partnerships, etc., that have conferred the nationality of the United States upon themselves or had the state of United States conferred upon them as persons that believe, after having done that, that they are not then located in the District of Columbia. It's literally insane. Like the word taxpayer means you are subject, and you're only subject because you conferred nationality of the state upon the person after birth by any means. You volunteered. You conferred nationality. You volunteered. You volunteered to be treated as a U.S. resident for the purposes of determining your income tax liability. And if you just simply change all of that and understand the different playing pieces that are on the board, the ens legis, the natural person, the corporation, the this, the that, then you no longer are a taxpayer. The ens legis is no longer a taxpayer. The estate is no longer a taxpayer. The corporation is no longer a taxpayer, etc.
Awesome.
Love it.
So you wouldn't say I don't pay taxes. And I'm not really big,
Right.
super big on the wording of things. I'm actually pretty chill. But this area, I feel like people should be a little bit more specific. You wouldn't
Right.
say you don't pay taxes. You would say, well, I'm not a taxpayer. Or you would say, well, I don't have a tax liability.
Boom.
Because the word
Okay.
taxpayer means a person who is subject to any internal revenue tax. You would say, I am not subject to any internal revenue tax
Mhm.
because I have corrected my naturalization. Or you would
Right.
even say, I corrected the naturalization of the person of my name in all capital letters. That's actually
Okay.
the super technical way that you would say it, right? The ens legis.
Right. I think her question was just basically like summarize the benefits you've experienced since correcting your status, and obviously you're not liable.
Yeah, I would say
Taxes.
I no longer, nor my ens legis, myself as a natural person, nor my ens legis, nor my many trusts, nor my corporations, nor my estates, nor my companies, nor my associations, nor my partnerships have a tax liability, or nor are any of those
Mhm.
persons subject to any internal revenue tax. Now, the beautiful thing is, they are also no longer subject to any state tax. They are also not subject to any sales tax. They are also not
Oh,
subject to any anything. Nothing.
wow.
None of the persons in my life of which I directly control and confer the nationality of a state upon after birth by any means whatsoever have any tax liabilities for anything anywhere legally.
Wow.
And I'm in California, where the average individual pays 50 to 55% of
Mm.
taxes on their
Yep.
income, which is also, we can go down that rabbit hole, but I have to go here
Mhm.
pretty
I'm in
quick.
Cynthia's
California too.
she's also in California.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Um,
so I do not have a tax liability. The ens legis does not have a tax liability, and my trusts do not have a tax liability. So there'd be no point in filling out a tax document, because a tax document is a reporting document to report tax liabilities.
okay. Have you done any debt forgiveness? Like you personally, car, credit card?
No, if you watch the 10-minute how to have infinite money video on my website, you can just get all that to just vanish. It's really easy. You don't need to do forgiveness.
Mm,
Really?
okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to squeeze in the questions because we're getting to the end of the time and I want to respect your time,
No, it's
Brandon.
okay. I'll do a few more. Let's do a few more.
Okay. Josh said, where can we access that passport form? That's just from the passport website, right?
The DS11, you just type it into the internet. You can get anywhere. And you can also get paper copies at your local post office.
I feel like you really just want to, oh, someone just messaged me a question. Hold on. I feel like Josh, you really just want to go to his website. Everything is there and his course makes it really simple. Um, and that's
Will
going
you
to
tell
outline.
everyone your website again?
onestupidfuck.com.
There you go.
How do you forget that website?
It's
Right?
good, right?
It's really good.
Yeah. So Ellen asked, so to change your status, one step would be remove the marriage license because she's married. So get an annulment there. right? What repercussions legally would occur in terms of joint ownership of property or other things?
So the merger ends and the two ends legacies separate. So at that point, it would be 50-50 ownership, but it would be all contract based. So it's just whatever you write up as the contract. It becomes kind of privatized at that point. When you have a marriage contract, the state is married into two merged corporations merge with the state, right? When you get an annulment, it goes back more privatized, meaning like the state's gone and the two corporations separate, but they're both persons. So the thing is that at that point, it's all just contractual. Whatever you guys agree to, whatever you guys do, like the government doesn't really have anything to do with it because the government's no longer married into a merged corporation.
Okay. Let's see. You said or filing joint income tax. We already know there's no liability of tax at that point. Someone
Once you get the
said,
marriage, I would recommend that you do the annulment. At least send in some kind of document stating that under fraud the marriage is dead. At least so they can get that at the whatever place that you go, whatever state office, whatever. And then at that point, you could do a revocation of election for each of the individual persons. So the husband and the wife or whatever would be two separate revocations of election. Send both those in. And then at that point, you've eliminated the merger and then you've revoked the election to be treated as a U.S. resident for the purpose of determining your income tax liability. Now, keep in mind, the ROE, the revocation of election, only applies to the ens legis, the all caps name. So if you have a trust, which I have trusts of my name in all capital letters. So if you pay me or do anything with me, it's not going into any sort of account that's an ens legis account or anything. It's going into a trust account that just happens to be my name in all capital letters. It's Brandon Joe Williams Trust. But if you write a check to Brandon Joe Williams, it's not going in a personal account. The personal account is actually a business account. It's the business called Brandon Joe Williams in all capital letters. I would never deposit anything in that account because that account may possibly have a tax liability depending on where that particular ens legis is located. If you open up a trust of your name in all capital letters, you can deposit all your shit in that trust account and now it's like totally protected and it's not involved in all this crazy goofiness because it isn't actually a corporation. The only thing that's not a corporation legally is trusts that you open up by yourself that have nothing to do with the government. You don't go to the government for fucking anything. You open up the trust entirely with you and your buddies. Open up a trust. That trust is not under the laws of the United States. It's not born in the United States and it's not naturalized into the United States. So it wouldn't be a US citizen. It wouldn't be located in the United States. And I know this is like madness at this point, but this is law. Unless that trust pledges allegiance to the United States, that trust wouldn't even be a non-citizen national of the United States because that person, which is that trust, would need to pledge allegiance to the United States in order for that person to become a non-citizen national of the United States. So it wouldn't even be that. It would be a non-citizen, non-national, non-nothing. And at that point in the USC, in the United States Code, it's a foreign trust.
okay.
So cool.
Next question. If someone earns money on stocks or in the stock market, they can still claim no tax liability, right? Because
Yes.
that wouldn't really matter.
That's right. And if you're involved in some situation where they're forcing you to pay taxes, you can just go straight to litigation and just beat the ever-loving fuck out of them in the courts. The courts follow the law entirely and unthinkingly and unemotionally.
Mm.
So it's the same thing with the passport. You try to get a corporation a passport, they're going to laugh you right at the building. You litigate, guarantee you, if you litigate with a vengeance and you're going for the gold and you're willing to bleed or die to get that passport done, I can pretty much guarantee you'll get a passport issued for a corporation. And I will be doing that at some point just for fun when I have like $900 million in my bank account. I'll probably start doing wild, goofy shit like this just to prove a point.
I love it.
I love
Yeah.
it. I can't wait. Okay. This is kind of piggybacking on that different forms of income. I'm assuming it's the same answer pretty much. But let's say you have a 401k or a traditional IRA and you're retired and you start to pull income that's, supposedly taxable. But again, if you don't have a tax liability, would it be the same thing for the 401k or retirement plan?
I believe a lot of those are trust accounts. So there's two persons. The trust is a person, and then you are a person, or the ens legis is a person. So
Okay.
both persons would have to make sure that they have conferred the nationality of a state that is not the United States and clarified that it's not in the United States upon that person after birth by any means whatsoever. The problem is that no one knows any of this information anywhere ever. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. The chances of that going through without a whole lot of a hitch is pretty low. It's possible you may need litigation to bash that through. With litigation, all of this is possible. Without litigation, it's a hit or miss depending on your charisma, depending on who you're talking to, depending on what you get done, depending on, you don't want to get mad and get angry and freak out. That's usually a surefire way to get buried alive very rapidly. But with litigation, you can bash all this home, no question, absolutely no question.
Okay. Um, let's see. Sorry, I was referring to the form you sent in with the application. I don't know what form you mean. Is that on the website?
The
Josh,
DS-11 is issued by the Department of State, and you can download
Okay.
the form online for free, and you can also get free paper copies from your local post office or local passport office. Duh, but just say it. Duh.
So another question, if your retirement is with a state, like let's say it's a state pension to the teacher state pension, does changing your status mean that you still do the
Yeah,
free?
you would need to call your like rep or whatever on that. That's gonna be a fucking nightmare. I don't know. That's because you start getting into the teachers and all that stuff, and it just becomes because it's like teachers technically work for the state, which means that they work for
Mhm.
the government, and like the word
Mhm.
citizen means employee or officer of the government. Literally, that's the literal definition of the word citizen. So technically you're a US citizen. It's like super complicated. Like you would need litigation to slam something like that home, and it's going to be like some work. It's not
Right.
That's not simple.
So basically anyone that works for the state or the government, it's a little stickier for you.
It's kind of it's definitely way more complicated because it's like jurisdictionally it's like outside of the District of Columbia, but it's like a government agency, so it's like considered an agency of the United States or an agency of government, and then it's a person, and then you've located yourself or your ens legis inside this person, and it's just like it's a mess. There's no way anyone you talk to about this kind of stuff, when you start getting this crazy into this stuff, is just going to think that you need to be put away in like some institution as rapidly as possible. You're going to have to just like absolutely like sludge hammer smash people through litigation, probably prolonged litigation. Now, the thing is that even if you did do that, you can get damages for all of the bullshit that you had to endure to get it done. So if it drags on for 10 months and it's a nightmare, you can get whatever you want done. Plus, you can get a fucking like truckload of cash as well. Because
Ooh.
all the bullshit that you had to go through from people not following the law, which everything I've shown you here is the law, you can
Mhm.
get damages and reimbursed for all the heartache, all the anxiety, all the time, all of it. So if it takes 10 months or 12 months or 16 months, you can get 10 million or 20 million or 50 million or whatever you want as damages for having to go through all this. So it's like, yes, it can be a lot of work, but the way I do it is the more they fuck with me, the more they ignore me, the more they don't follow the law, then the higher the damages get.
Wow. Have you ever lost a litigation?
Well, all the litigation is currently in progress, and it's
Okay.
a lot of it is pretty new, like a lot of what I'm doing in the litigation spectrum. So if you go to I'll do a screen share here. If you go to www.williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com, and you go to a lot of information here, by the way, a lot of really good information. Like one of the questions you asked me before we started the show is, am I an attorney or am I a lawyer? The answer to that question is in the questions and answer section. Are you licensed? And I get into how that works and how that's all broken down and the definitions of the words. And, there's are you a member of the bar? Are you practicing in the state of California? This is all here on the questions and answers page because it's like kind of a lot of material. It's really important, really eye-opening. Anyone can be an attorney instantaneously. You could be an attorney today. In 5 minutes, you could be an attorney. And in 5 minutes, you could have your own nation as well. So it's very, very easy. You confer nationality of a state upon yourself or the ens legis after birth by any means whatsoever. And you get someone to sign a power of attorney form. It could be a friend. It could even be Cynthia doing it with Regina. And then boom, you are instantaneously have your own nation. And boom, you are instantaneously an attorney.
Let's do it, Sid.
In 5 minutes. Right?
Let's go.
So here are
it.
the current and previous litigation. This page has all the current litigation. You can see the click here for each one of these to see the civil cover letter and the summons and the complaint and all the good stuff. This is all the initial stuff that was filed to start the lawsuit. And then if you want to see all the actual fighting and me on all the bar cards having some fun, and if you want to see all the swords and shields clanking together, you're going to go to pacer.uscourts.gov and you can create a free account and you can look up any case online, anywhere you want, any federal case on this website. And you can download any documents, any affidavits, any motions, anything inside of any case for 10 cents per page. It's all public information.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing like a child case where there's a child involved and there's like health information for the child, or like certain types of filings for certain types of cases will not be public. They'll be private filings. But 95 or 97% of every filing in every single case will be public, and you could download it through Pacer.
Wow.
So did you start Pickle Nation yet or what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Nation of the Amnesty Coalition. On my website, we have a whole page devoted to it. I'm actually working on our flag right now. At the very, very end, we have an artist
I've seen
working on our flag.
Your samples that you put out there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, you have to tell us the pickle story.
Wait.
So I created a free course, and in the free course, there's a couple parts. There's like 3 or 4 parts where I'm like, look, if you don't understand this, it's okay. Just head down to the farmer's market, get yourself the biggest, fattest, girthiest cucumber you can possibly find, and jam that fucking thing straight up your ass. Fuck you. I don't care. Don't fucking call me. Don't fucking email me. Right? And people fucking loved it. I mean, everyone was talking about these comments about these pickles and jamming pickles up your ass. And it was just, it went viral. And there's a couple other parts. Like one of my favorite parts is the part where I talk about circus seal. So I'm talking about bar card attorneys. And I say bar card attorneys are circus seals, and they suck off everyone in the courtroom. And I go like that, right? Like a circus seal hitting the horns, right? I thought that was one of the funniest things, but no one ever talks about the circus seal part. They always talk about the pickles, right? Or the cucumber. So I was like, you guys love the cucumber so much. So I went and created all these different logos, and I created merch lines, and I created t-shirts, and I created a whole towel and
I'm getting
fanny
some.
pack and all this stuff.
Shorts.
I need some pickle merch. I'm going on there.
So that's how the whole pickle thing was basically from the fans. I mean, I didn't choose the pickle. The pickle chose me, you know?
Yep. Awesome.
I'm going to end the recorded version. We've already kept you long enough. Your website is
onestupidfuck.com. And I actually, especially for you two, I have a different URL that might be really helpful. It's myfaceasachair.com.
Whoa. My feet. All right, Brandon. That whiskey is kicking in.
Oh, huh? Regina liked that one. Regina, you went through like 15 emotional changes on that one. I said, like like 17 minutes to process that one. That was good.
Yeah,
That
I'm
was good.
slow as fuck right now.
We have an inside joke. Regina and I are 38.
Oh my God, I love it. You guys are
38%
amazing.
retarded, but
You guys are amazing. Yeah, I think that's the one I think you two should use specifically, but one stupid fuck can be for everybody else. Okay.
Cool.
oh my gosh. How do you even end end the show?
Regina likes that URL. That's her favorite
Anyway,
one.
anyway, thank you so much for hanging
Thank
out.
you
We're
for
gonna
being
wrap
here,
up the
everyone.
recorded version.
Bye
We'll hang out for
bye.
a couple minutes in Facebook. I understand if you gotta go, but thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe us on YouTube, Sovereign AF Podcast. Join the Facebook group. Blog
Instagram.
Instagram, Sovereign AF
Everything.
Podcast. Come and find us everywhere. And thank you for watching.